The twin moons of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the research station as Dr. Elena Vasquez finished her evening rounds. The air was crisp and clean, filled with the strange sweet scent of alien flowers that bloomed only at night. She pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders and walked toward the waste disposal area behind the main building. Elena had been working at Kepler Station for 3 years now. The remote outpost was home to only 12 researchers, all studying the unique plant life on this distant world. It was quiet work, peaceful work. Most days Elena forgot how far from Earth they really were. She was checking the bio-waste containers when she heard it, a soft rustling sound like paper being crumpled. Elena stopped and listened. There it was again, coming from behind the large metal container marked with biohazard symbols. "Hello?" she called softly. "Is someone there?" Elena walked around the container and froze. A small creature was crouched next to a torn garbage bag, its tiny hands clutching something that looked like moldy bread. The creature was no bigger than a human child, maybe 3 years old, but it was clearly not human. Its skin was covered in tiny scales that caught the moonlight like scattered jewels. The scales were a pale green color, almost silver. Large eyes, bigger than any human's, stared up at Elena with fear and desperation. The creature's arms and legs were thin, too thin. Elena could see the outline of ribs beneath its scaly skin. "Oh my God," Elena whispered. "You're starving." The creature dropped the moldy bread and tried to crawl away, but it was too weak. After just a few steps, it collapsed onto its side, breathing hard. Its large eyes closed, and Elena could see its chest rising and falling too quickly. Elena looked around the empty station grounds. She should call for help. She should follow protocol and contact the research director. Unknown alien contact required immediate reporting to Earth Command. But the creature was dying. Elena could see that clearly. She knelt down slowly, keeping her hands visible. The creature's eyes opened and watched her carefully. Elena had studied animal behavior before switching to plant biology. She recognized fear when she saw it. "It's okay," she said in a gentle voice. "I won't hurt you." The creature made a soft sound, like a bird chirping. It tried to sit up, but fell back down. Elena could see that it was shaking now, not from cold, but from weakness. "You need food," Elena said. She looked at the torn garbage bag. The creature had been eating their food scraps, but most of it was rotten. Real food. Elena made a decision that would change everything. She reached out slowly and carefully picked up the small creature. It weighed almost nothing, like holding a bird with hollow bones. The creature made another chirping sound, but didn't fight her. "My colleagues are going to kill me for this," Elena muttered as she carried the creature toward her quarters. Elena's room was small but comfortable. She laid the creature on her bed and covered it with a soft blanket. The creature's eyes followed her every movement, but it seemed too tired to be afraid anymore. "Food first," Elena said to herself. "Then I'll figure out what to do." Elena's small kitchen had basic supplies. She had vegetables from Earth's hydroponic gardens, some dried meat, and various seasonings. She decided to make something simple and safe. Soup seemed like the best choice for someone who was starving. She cut up carrots, potatoes, and onions into small pieces. She added them to a pot of water with some salt and herbs. While the soup cooked, she went back to check on the creature. It was still lying quietly under the blanket. Its large eyes watched Elena approach. She sat on the edge of the bed and studied the creature's face. Despite its alien features, there was something very human about its expressions. Elena could see intelligence there, and sadness, and hope. "I'm making you something to eat," Elena said. "I hope you can digest human food." The creature tilted its head and made a soft trilling sound. It almost sounded like it was trying to say, Thank you." When the soup was ready, Elena brought a bowl to the bedroom. The smell filled the room, and the creature's nose twitched. Elena helped it sit up against the pillows. It was so light that Elena worried she might break it. Elena held the spoon to the creature's lips. It sniffed carefully, then opened its mouth. Its tongue was longer than a human's and slightly blue in color. The creature tasted the soup and its eyes went wide. Then it began eating like it had never tasted anything so wonderful in its life. Elena had to slow it down, worried it might make itself sick. But the creature was desperate for every drop. It finished the entire bowl and looked at Elena with what could only be gratitude. "Better?" Elena asked. The creature reached out with one small scaly hand and touched Elena's arm. Its skin was warm and surprisingly soft. It made a sound that was almost like purring. Elena gave it another bowl of soup, then some water. Color was returning to the creature's scales, making them shine brighter. It was already looking stronger. As the night went on, Elena watched the creature sleep. She had so many questions. Where did it come from? Were there others like it? How had it learned to scavenge from human garbage? But those questions would have to wait. Elena had broken every rule in the book by bringing an unknown alien into the station. If her colleagues found out, she would be sent back to Earth immediately. But looking at the peaceful face of the sleeping creature, Elena knew she had made the right choice. In the morning, Elena helped the creature walk outside. It was much stronger now, moving with quick, graceful steps. At the edge of the forest, it stopped and looked back at Elena. It touched Elena's hand again, then made a series of chirping sounds that sounded almost like language. "I'll call you Kira," Elena said softly. "Will I see you again?" The creature, Kira, chirped once more and disappeared into the alien trees. Elena stood there for a long time, wondering if she would ever see her again. She had no idea that she had just changed the course of galactic history with a simple bowl of soup. 3 days passed without any sign of Kira. Elena tried to focus on her work, but she found herself looking toward the forest every few minutes. She wondered if the little alien was okay. Had the soup really helped, or was it too little too late? Dr. Marcus Webb, the station director, noticed Elena's distraction during their morning meeting. "You've been acting strange lately, Vasquez," he said. "Everything all right?" "Just tired," Elena lied. "The night shift observations are wearing me out." "Maybe you should take a break," suggested Dr. Sarah Chen, the team's botanist. "You've been working non-stop for months." Elena nodded, but didn't really hear them. Her mind was on Kira, wondering if she would ever see the little creature again. That evening, Elena was in her lab, analyzing plant samples, when the station's alarm system suddenly activated. Red lights flashed throughout the building, and the emergency siren wailed. Elena's heart jumped. The alarm meant only one thing: unknown contact detected. "All personnel to the main building immediately," Marcus's voice crackled over the intercom. "This is not a drill." Elena ran through the corridors with the other researchers. In the main control room, Marcus was staring at the security monitors with a pale face. The screens showed the area outside the station, lit up by powerful floodlights. "My God," whispered Dr. Chen. "What is that thing?" Elena looked at the monitor and felt her blood turn cold. Standing at the edge of the light was the largest alien she had ever seen. It stood on 2 legs like a human, but it was nearly 9 feet tall. Its body was covered in dark armor-like plates that gleamed in the floodlights. Massive arms ended in claws that looked like they could cut through steel. Its head was long and narrow, with burning yellow eyes that seemed to look right through the camera. But what made Elena's heart stop was what she saw next to the giant alien. A small, familiar figure with silver-green scales. "Kira," Elena breathed. "What did you say?" Marcus snapped, turning to look at her. "Nothing," Elena said quickly. but she couldn't take her eyes off the screen. It was definitely Kira, standing next to the terrifying giant. The little alien was pointing toward the station and making excited chirping sounds. "That's a Valthari," said Dr. James Rodriguez, the team xenobiologist. His voice was shaking. "I've seen the reports from the outer colonies. They're killers, pure killers." Elena had heard the stories too. The Valthari were legendary throughout human space. They appeared without warning, destroyed everything in their path, and disappeared just as quickly. Entire colonies had been wiped out. No one who faced them in battle ever survived to tell about it. "Why isn't it attacking?" Dr. Chen whispered. That was a good question. The Valthari just stood there, watching the station. Its massive head turned slowly as it studied their defenses. But it made no move to approach. "Maybe it's waiting for something," Marcus said. He was already reaching for the emergency communication array. "I'm calling for evacuation. We need to get off this planet now." "Wait," Elena said. "Look at the small one." Everyone stared at the screen. Kira was walking toward the station, chirping loudly. The giant Valthari followed slowly behind her, its claws scraping against the ground. "It's bringing that thing right to us," Dr. Rodriguez said. "We need to evacuate now." But Elena was thinking fast. Why would Kira come back? And why would she bring someone with her? Elena thought about the way Kira had touched her hand. The gratitude in her large eyes. "I'm going out there," Elena said. "Are you insane?" Marcus grabbed her arm. "That thing will kill you in seconds." "No," Elena said, pulling free. "I don't think it will." Before anyone could stop her, Elena ran out of the control room. She heard Marcus shouting behind her, but she didn't stop. She ran through the corridors and out the main door of the station. The night air was cold against her face. The floodlights were so bright that everything outside their circle looked pitch black. Elena walked slowly toward Kira and the giant alien, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Kira?" Elena called softly. The little alien's head snapped up. She made an excited trilling sound and ran toward Elena. Elena knelt down and caught Kira in her arms. The little creature was warm and solid, definitely real and alive. She looked much healthier than 3 days ago. Her scales were brighter, and she felt heavier. "You came back," Elena whispered. "But why did you bring—" Elena looked up. The giant Valthari was standing just a few feet away, close enough that Elena could see her reflection in its burning eyes. This close, Elena could see that the creature was even more frightening than she had thought. Scars covered its armored skin. Its claws were longer than Elena's fingers. Its mouth was full of teeth that could bite through bone. Elena should have been terrified. Every human instinct told her to run, but something in the alien's eyes stopped her. There was intelligence there, and something else. Something that looked almost like curiosity. Kira chirped and pointed at Elena, then at the giant alien. She seemed to be trying to introduce them. The Valthari tilted its massive head and studied Elena. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. But Elena could understand the words. "You fed my child." It wasn't a question. Elena's mouth went dry. This was Kira's mother. The little alien had brought her mother to meet the human who had helped her. "Yes," Elena said. Her voice came out as a whisper. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Yes, I gave her food." The Valthari mother took a step closer. Elena forced herself not to run. Kira was still in her arms, chirping happily and touching Elena's face with her small hands. "My child was dying," the mother said. Each word seemed difficult for her, like she wasn't used to speaking this language. "Now, she lives." Elena looked down at Kira, who was indeed alive and healthy. The soup had worked. Somehow, human food had saved her life. "You are welcome," Elena said. "I couldn't let her starve." The Veltari mothers stared at Elena for a long moment. Around them, Elena could hear her colleagues shouting from the station, probably telling her to run. But Elena stayed where she was, holding Kira and looking up at the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. Finally, the mother spoke again. "I am Zethara," she said. "You have given me great gift. My daughter, she tells me you are kind." Elena blinked. Kira could talk? She looked down at the little alien, who chirped and touched Elena's nose with one finger. "My name is Elena," she said. "I'm glad Kira is okay." Zethara nodded slowly. "We must talk," she said. "There is much you do not understand." Elena convinced Marcus to let her meet with Zethara, but only with the station's full security system active, and all other personnel ready to evacuate at a moment's notice. They met in the station's greenhouse, surrounded by earth plants and alien flowers. Elena thought the familiar setting might help keep everyone calm. Zethara had to duck to fit through the doorway. Inside the greenhouse, she looked even larger and more frightening. But Kira seemed completely comfortable, running between the plant beds and chirping with delight at all the growing things. "She likes plants," Elena observed. "All Velthari children love growing things," Zethara said, sitting cross-legged on the floor so she wouldn't tower over Elena. Even sitting, she was still taller than Elena standing up. "It is natural for us." Elena sat across from her, fascinated despite her fear. "Can you tell me about your people? The reports we have—" "Your reports speak of monsters," Zethara interrupted. Her voice was bitter. "Killers who destroy everything. This is what you believe, yes?" "Yes," Elena admitted. "The colonies that were attacked, thousands died." Zethara closed her burning eyes. "Yes, many died, and I am sorry for this. But you do not understand why." Kira ran over and climbed into her mother's lap. The huge alien immediately became gentle, stroking Kira's scales with claws that could have killed Elena in an instant. "Will you let me explain?" Zethara asked. Elena nodded. "I want to understand." Zethara was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "Long ago, my people lived on a beautiful world called Velthara. It was covered in forests that grew special plants. These plants, they made something our children need to live." She gestured to Kira, who was now playing with a small earth flower. "Velthari young must have this thing. This chemical, or they die slowly. Their bodies eat themselves from inside." Elena felt a chill. "A specific nutrient?" "Yes, only from our homeworld plants. We call it life essence in your language. Without it, our children starve, no matter how much food they eat." "What happened to your world?" Elena asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. "Cosmic disaster. A star exploded nearby and poisoned our sun. Everything died. The plants, the animals, the land itself." Zethara's voice became very quiet. "Most of my people died too." Elena stared at Kira, who was now examining a tomato plant with great interest. "But some of you escaped?" "Yes. Ships carried maybe 1,000 Velthari to safety among the stars. But we brought no plants, no life essence, and our children began to die." The terrible picture was becoming clear. "So you searched for food that could replace what they needed." "For 20 years, we searched. We tried food from 100 different worlds. Nothing worked. Our young kept dying." Zethara's claws dug into the greenhouse floor. "Do you know what it is like to watch your child waste away? To try everything and watch them get weaker every day?" Elena shook her head. She couldn't imagine that kind of desperation. "When we found worlds with food that might work, we asked nicely at first. We explained our need. But always, people saw us and feared. They shot at us before we could speak. They called us monsters and killers." "So, you took the food by force," Elena said. What choice did we have? Zethara's voice was full of pain. Let our children die to keep other people comfortable? No parent could do this. So yes, we took food. We fought when we had to. People died because they would not let us save our young. Elena thought about the colony reports she had read. Velthari ships appearing suddenly, taking food supplies, fighting anyone who resisted. But now she understood, it wasn't mindless violence. It was desperate parents trying to save their children. Did any of the food work? Elena asked. No. The single word carried 20 years of heartbreak. Nothing worked. Our children kept dying. Most Velthari have no young left alive. Kira is one of maybe 50 children left in all the galaxy. Elena looked at Kira, who was now trying to eat a leaf from the tomato plant. She gently took it away from her. Don't eat that, sweetie. It might make you sick. Kira chirped sadly and looked up at Elena with her large eyes. But she ate my soup, Elena said, and it helped her. Yes. Zethara leaned forward, and Elena could see hope burning in her yellow eyes. For first time in 20 years, my daughter ate something that made her stronger instead of weaker. Your human food, it has something close to life essence. Elena's mind raced. Earth vegetables had thousands of different compounds. Which one had helped Kira? We need to figure out exactly what it was. You would help us? Zethara asked. She sounded surprised. Of course I would help you. You're trying to save your children. Elena paused. But there's a problem. My people, they're afraid of you. Very afraid. If they knew you were here, they would try to kill us, Zethara finished. Yes, this is why I came alone. Other Velthari wanted to take your station by force, take all your food. But Kira told me about your kindness. I wanted to meet this human who fed my child without being asked. Elena felt a weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. If we can figure out what in human food helps Kira, we could help all Velthari children. But we need time. Time is something we have little of, Zethara said. Galactic Defense Force tracks us always. When they find us here, they'll attack immediately, Elena finished. We need to work fast. Kira suddenly ran over to Elena and climbed into her lap. The little alien touched Elena's face and chirped something that sounded almost like words. What is she saying? Elena asked. Zethara smiled for the first time since Elena had met her. It transformed her frightening face into something almost beautiful. She says, "Thank you, Soup Bringer. You taste like hope." Elena felt tears in her eyes. She hugged Kira close and looked up at her mother. Then let's give her hope. Let's save your people. But even as Elena said the words, she heard something that made her blood run cold. In the distance, the sound of space engines approaching fast. Through the greenhouse windows, she could see lights in the night sky. What is that? Zethara asked, rising to her feet. Elena's communication device crackled to life. Marcus's voice was tight with fear. Elena, get away from those aliens right now. Galactic Defense Force ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're demanding we surrender the Velthari immediately. Elena looked at Zethara, who was now standing at her full height, claws extending. The peaceful moment was over. The hunter was back. They will not take my daughter, Zethara said, and her voice had become the growl of a predator. Elena stood up, still holding Kira. There has to be another way. We can't let this end in violence. But the ships were getting closer, and Elena could see weapon ports opening on their hulls. The Galactic Defense Force ships landed like metal thunder around Kepler Station. Elena watched from the greenhouse window as armed soldiers poured out of the transports, their weapons already charged and ready. Red targeting lasers cut through the darkness, searching for alien threats. Elena Vasquez, a voice boomed over loudspeakers. Step away from the hostile aliens immediately. This is your final warning. Elena looked at Zethara, who had moved protectively in front of Kira. The Veltari mother's whole body was tense, ready for battle. Her claws gleamed in the greenhouse lights, and her yellow eyes burned with the fury of a parent protecting her child. "They want to kill us," Zethara said. Her voice was calm, but Elena could hear the danger underneath. "I will not let them take my daughter." "Wait," Elena said quickly. "There might be another way." But Zethara wasn't listening anymore. She was looking at the soldiers surrounding the building, calculating odds and angles of attack. Elena had read the reports about Veltari in combat. A single warrior could fight dozens of trained soldiers. Zethara could probably kill everyone outside, but she would die in the process. And so would Kira. "Please," Elena begged, "give me a chance to fix this." Elena's communication device buzzed. Marcus's voice was tight with panic. "Elena, the Defense Force commander wants to talk to you. Whatever you did, you need to undo it right now." Elena activated the device. "Put him through." A new voice came through the speaker, hard and military. "Dr. Vasquez, this is Commander Hayes. You are harboring known hostile aliens in violation of Galactic Protection Protocol 7. Surrender them immediately, or face charges of treason." "Commander," Elena said, trying to keep her voice steady, "the Veltari aren't hostile. Their children are dying, and they need our help." "Our help?" Hayes laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Dr. Vasquez, those creatures have killed thousands of innocent people. They're monsters." Elena looked at Kira, who was clinging to her mother's leg and looking up at the adults with frightened eyes. "No, Commander. They're parents trying to save their children. If you'll just listen." "I've heard enough. You have 60 seconds to step outside with your hands visible. The aliens will be destroyed on sight." The communication cut off. Elena stared at the device, then at Zethara, who was now crouched in a fighting position. "I will protect my child," Zethara said, "even if I must kill them all." "No." Elena stepped between Zethara and the door. "Violence will only prove they're right about you. There has to be another way." "What other way?" "Your people shoot first, and ask questions never." Elena's mind raced. She thought about everything Zethara had told her, about the dying Veltari children and their desperate search for the right nutrients. Then she thought about her research, her samples, her analysis equipment. "I need more time," Elena said. "Time to prove that human food can save your people." "We have no time," Zethara replied. Elena made a decision that went against everything she had been trained to do. She reached for her research equipment and began working frantically. If she could analyze exactly what compounds in her soup had helped Kira, she could prove to the Defense Force that helping the Veltari was better than fighting them. "What are you doing?" Zethara asked. "Science," Elena said, connecting her scanner to the communication system. "I'm going to analyze Kira's blood and compare it to human vegetables. If I can find the exact compound that's helping her." Outside, Commander Hayes was counting down over the loudspeakers. 30 seconds, Dr. Vasquez." Elena's scanner beeped. She looked at the results and felt her heart jump. "There, folate compounds. Kira's blood shows massive improvement in folate levels." "What does this mean?" Zethara asked. "It means Earth vegetables are rich in exactly what your children need to survive." Elena was already calling up data on Earth's agricultural exports. "Spinach, broccoli, beans, lentils. We grow tons of these every year, enough to feed every Veltari child in the galaxy." 15 seconds. Elena opened a communication channel to the Defense Force ships. "Commander Hayes, please. I have proof that we can end the Veltari threat without violence." "Time's up, Doctor." Elena heard weapons charging outside. She looked at Zethara, who was preparing to fight, and at little Kira, who was trying to hide behind a plant. This was the moment that would decide everything. Elena made her choice. She picked up Kira and walked toward the greenhouse door. "Elena, no!" Marcus's voice crackled over the radio. "They'll kill you all!" But Elena kept walking. She pushed open the door and stepped outside, holding Kira in her arms. Immediately, dozens of weapon sights focused on her. Red dots of laser targeting covered her body. "Stay back!" Commander Hayes shouted. "The alien could be dangerous." "Look at her," Elena called back. "She's a child, a hungry, scared child." Zethara appeared behind Elena, moving slowly with her claws retracted. The soldiers tensed, fingers on triggers. "Hold your fire," Hayes commanded, "but be ready." Elena walked forward until she was close enough to see the commander's face. He was a hard man with scars and the cold eyes of someone who had seen too much war. "Commander," Elena said, "this is Kira. 3 days ago, she was dying of starvation. I gave her soup made from earth vegetables, and it saved her life." "So what?" Hayes replied. "That doesn't change what her people have done." "It changes everything." Elena held up her scanner. "The Veltari aren't killing for pleasure. They're killing because their children are dying, and they've been searching for 20 years for food that could save them. Food that we have in abundance." Elena showed him the analysis data. Earth vegetables contain compounds that Veltari children need to survive. We could feed every alien child in the galaxy with what we throw away as surplus crops. Hayes looked at the data, then at Kira, who chirped softly and reached out one small hand toward him. "Even if that's true," Hayes said, "they're still killers. They've attacked our colonies." "Because we shot at them when they tried to ask for help," Zethara spoke for the first time. Her voice was carefully controlled. "Because fear made your people choose violence over understanding." Elena stepped closer to Hayes. "Commander, you have children?" Hayes nodded slowly. "What would you do if they were dying, and you knew food that could save them existed, but no one would share it?" Hayes stared at Kira for a long moment. The little alien made a soft sound and touched Elena's face with obvious affection. "You're asking me to trust the word of monsters," Hayes said finally. "I'm asking you to trust the evidence," Elena replied, "and to choose hope over fear." The standoff stretched on. Around them, soldiers waited for orders. Elena could feel the weight of history balanced on a knife's edge. Everything depended on what happened in the next few moments. Hayes looked at his scanner readings again, then at his soldiers, then at the small alien child in Elena's arms. "Stand down weapons," he said finally. "But maintain ready positions." Elena felt a surge of hope. "Commander, you have 1 hour, Dr. Vasquez," Hayes said. "Prove to me that cooperation is better than elimination. 1 hour to change my mind about an entire species." Elena nodded. 1 hour to save 2 civilizations from destroying each other. 1 hour to prove that sometimes the greatest human strength was the courage to feed the hungry, even when they looked like monsters. Elena had never worked so fast in her life. With Kira as her willing test subject, and Zethara providing information about Velthari biology, she ran analysis after analysis. Her colleagues, despite their fear, helped gather data and prepare samples. Even Commander Hayes watched carefully as Elena proved her theory. The results were clear. Earth vegetables contained folate compounds in exactly the right combination to replace what Velthari children needed from their lost homeworld. Better yet, Earth produced these vegetables in massive quantities. The surplus crops that humans often wasted could feed every surviving Velthari child in the galaxy. "It's true," Dr. Chen whispered, staring at the test results. "We could have solved this years ago." Elena uploaded the data to her communication system and sent it to every Defense Force ship in orbit. "There's your proof, Commander. The Veltari raids can end today if we choose cooperation over conflict." But Hayes was still hesitant. "Even if this is true, how do I know they'll stop attacking? How do I know this isn't a trick?" Before Elena could answer, her communication system buzzed with an incoming message. The signal was coming from deep space, from multiple sources. "Elena," Zethara said urgently, "my people are listening. Word has spread that you found a solution." The main screen lit up with incoming transmission requests, dozens of them. Elena realized that Veltari ships scattered across the galaxy were trying to contact them. "Let them through," Elena said. The first transmission showed a Veltari warrior much like Zethara, but older and covered in battle scars. Behind him, Elena could see small figures that could only be children. "Is it true?" the warrior asked in broken human language. "Human food can save our young? We've proven it. Your children can live." The warrior's fierce expression crumbled. He turned to the children behind him and spoke in the Velthari language. Elena didn't understand the words, but she understood the emotion. Hope. For the first time in 20 years, these people had hope. More transmissions came through. Velthari from across the galaxy, all asking the same question, all desperate for the same answer. Elena found herself talking to warrior after warrior, parent after parent, all of them begging to know if their children could finally be saved. Commander Hayes watched this with growing amazement. "How many of them are there?" "Maybe 800 adult Velthari left alive," Zethara answered. "With 53 children, we are all that remains of a race that once numbered millions." Elena looked at Hayes and saw something changing in his eyes. These weren't monsters. They were refugees, the last survivors of a dying species, fighting desperately to save their children. "Commander," Elena said softly, "what are your orders?" Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Around him his soldiers waited. In orbit above them, Defense Force ships had their weapons trained on Velthari vessels that were beginning to arrive from across the galaxy. One order from Hayes could start a battle that would end with the extinction of an entire species. "Stand down all weapons," Hayes said finally. "Open communication channels to all Velthari ships." Elena felt her heart leap. "Commander." "Not yet, Doctor," Hayes said. "I need to hear something first." He activated the communication system and spoke to all Velthari ships. "This is Commander Hayes of the Galactic Defense Force. I want to speak to your leaders." The main screen filled with Velthari faces, scarred warriors who had seen too much war, parents who had watched their children die. Survivors who had been running and fighting for 20 years. Hayes looked at them all and took a deep breath. "For 20 years, our people have been at war. We've killed each other because we didn't understand, because fear made us choose violence over conversation." He paused. "Dr. Vasquez has shown us another way, but I need to know that you'll take it." An older Velthari with wise eyes spoke first. "What do you ask of us, human commander?" "I ask you to stop the raids, stop the attacks. Let us feed your children instead of forcing you to steal food that doesn't even work." The Velthari leaders looked at each other. Elena could see them having a silent conversation in their own language. "And in return?" the elder asked. Hayes looked at Elena, then at Kira, who was playing peacefully with a flower. "In return, humanity offers you something we've never offered anyone before. Partnership. Not just food for your children, but a place in our galaxy. A chance to build something together instead of destroying each other." Elena stepped forward. "We can do more than just keep your children alive. We can help you thrive. Humans are good at growing things. You could teach us about your technology, your knowledge. Together, we could both be stronger." Zethara placed a massive hand gently on Elena's shoulder. "You would trust us, after everything we have done?" Elena looked around at all the faces watching her, human and alien, soldier and scientist, parent and child. This was the moment everything would be decided. "I gave soup to a hungry child," Elena said. "It was the right thing to do then, and it's the right thing to do now. We judge people by what they choose to do when they have options, not by what they do when they're desperate." She picked up Kira and held her so everyone could see the healthy, happy little alien. Kira's people thought they had no choice but to fight. We thought we had no choice but to fight back, but we were all wrong. There's always another choice, if we're brave enough to take it. Elena looked directly into the communication cameras, speaking to humans and Velthari alike. The choice to feed the hungry, the choice to protect children, the choice to build bridges instead of walls. She paused. The choice to believe that any species that loves their children enough to cross a galaxy to save them can't be all bad. Commander Hayes nodded slowly. Dr. Vasquez is right. Today we choose cooperation over conflict. Today the war ends. The elder Velthari was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice full of emotion. We accept. In the name of our children, we accept your offer of peace. Across the communication channels, Elena could hear Velthari voices speaking to each other. She didn't understand the language, but she understood the tone. Relief, joy, hope. Zethara knelt down next to Elena. My daughter chose well when she chose you as friend, she said. You have given us more than food. You have given us a future. 6 months later, Elena stood in the expanded Kepler Station greenhouse, watching Kira play with 3 human children and 2 other young Velthari. The little aliens were healthy and growing fast on a steady diet of earth vegetables. Their scales gleamed with vibrant colors, and their laughter filled the air. Zethara approached, carrying a datapad full of agricultural reports. She had become the liaison between human farmers and Velthari families, coordinating the massive food distribution program that now fed alien children across the galaxy. The latest shipments have reached the outer colonies, Zethara reported. All children are showing excellent health improvements. Elena smiled as she watched Kira teach a human boy how to properly plant seeds. And the defense contracts? Signed yesterday. 12 human colonies now have Velthari protection fleets. Our warriors are much happier defending lives than taking them. Elena nodded. The partnership was working better than anyone had hoped. Human agricultural expertise fed Velthari children, while Velthari military skill protected human settlements from genuine threats. Trade flowed both ways, and understanding grew every day. Dr. Vasquez, a small voice said. Elena looked down to see Kira tugging on her lab coat. The little alien held up a perfect tomato she had grown herself. Look, I made food. Elena laughed and picked up Kira, spinning her around until she chirped with delight. Yes, you did. You're becoming quite the farmer. As Elena hugged the little alien who had started it all, she thought about how strange life could be. A simple act of kindness, sharing soup with a hungry child, had grown into something that changed the fate of 2 entire civilizations. Sometimes the greatest victories weren't won with weapons or threats, or clever strategies. Sometimes they were won with nothing more than the courage to see past differences and the wisdom to know that a full belly could be the foundation for peace. Elena looked out at the alien sunset, painting the sky in colors that had no names in human language. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to build something better than what came before. But tonight, the children were fed, the galaxy was a little safer, and hope had won over fear. And it had all started with soup.